Peyton Manning wins this easily. He's got 13 Pro Bowls. Russell Wilson has 2. End of discussion. So through the first round of my bracket, I have selected Ben Roethlisberger over Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers over Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning over Russell Wilson, and Tom Brady over Eli Manning. So in the second round, it comes to Tom Brady versus Ben Roethlisberger. And honestly, at this point, you really, as much as I'd love to say you can take Ben because of the weather-ish, because, he's better, more consistent in the playoffs, and Brady the last years has not done well in big games or in clutch moments, that doesn't matter. Brady's the better quarterback, absolutely. Not as mobile as Roethlisberger, not as elusive. But when you give Brady a split second longer than you really want to, he will eat you up. And he's done it with Julian Edelman. He's put up huge numbers of Julian Edelman, Brandon Lloyd, Troy Brown, Jabbar Gaffney, and Deion Branch. None of those guys would have started for the Steelers at any point in Ben's tenure there. Maybe Brandon Lloyd at his best, but that's pushing it. I know Brady's got the 2 tight ends, but look, he won a lot of games last year. The Patriots went 12-4 last year? And he did it with such an unimpressive receiving corps, it wasn't even funny. And he still did it. He still proved to everybody how good he can be. Look what Peyton Manning did with all those guys. Let me tell you something. If you were to put Peyton Manning in New England last year and put Tom Brady in Denver, Brady would have won his 4th Super Bowl because he wouldn't have had to face the same problems that Peyton does. Peyton gets so tight in the postseason. Brady's won 3 rings and he's so relaxed. Brady would definitely have won that Super Bowl. Well, no, not definitely. I think I scratch it. I think Seattle still would have won, but it would have been a lot closer. Wouldn't have been a 35-point blowout. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you, Ben in his career, I'd have to say the last 5 or 6 years, Ben has been about as consistent. Considering the fact that the Steelers themselves have fallen on hard times the last few years. They haven't won a playoff game. This January coming up, it'll be 4 years since they won a playoff game. All right, and a lot of those guys are gone. And Ben's having to do it without these guys. Ben has taken over as the de facto leader in the Steelers, and Brady's the de facto leader in the Patriots has been away for a long time. But if you look at what they've done in their tenures, Brady's 3 rings just barely outshines Ben, so you have to go with Brady. Now for the 3 versus 2 matchup, Rodgers versus Peyton Manning, we haven't seen enough of Aaron Rodgers to make a judgment yet. Even though in terms of passer rating, he did break Manning's record in 2011 with the best passer rating in a single season in league history. 122.5 says enough. In his career, in the 6 years he's been a starter, he's only had 1 season with less than 100 passer rating. That just goes to show how good he's been. And even then, that passer rating was in the mid-90s, which is still pretty impressive. But Peyton Manning's just so prolific in what he's done. Now, for this list, I'm not accomplishing what they are now. I'm talking about what they are all time. And I would have to say all time, you definitely go with Peyton Manning. In a few years, you might be putting Aaron Rodgers up there with those guys, barring he wins another Super Bowl and maybe makes a few more Pro Bowls and wins another MVP. But that's still still a lot of ifs. And right now, Peyton Manning is still the 2nd greatest quarterback of his generation, of this current generation. So Peyton Manning would definitely outshine Aaron Rodgers. And for the final matchup, you go Brady versus Manning. How else could you have it? And I'm going to completely reverse this season's AFC title game, which featured the 2 quarterbacks. I would take Brady over Peyton Manning any day of the week. And that is not even close. And I'll tell you why. I have my own list of the 30 greatest quarterbacks. And Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are in the top 10. I have Brady at number 8, yes, number 8, and Peyton Manning at number 9. And I'll tell you why. For one, I have Unitas, Montana, Otto Graham, John Elway, Dan Marino, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach ahead of him. But here's the point. One of these guys gets a deer in the headlights look in the Super Bowl, and the other one wins when he gets to the big games. And in the big games, in the big moments, who's better than Tom Brady? I know that Peyton Manning has had some great comebacks in his career, and he's led some incredible game-winning drives. But Is his clutch body of work as impressive as Tom Brady's? No. Has Peyton Manning had to win a lot of games with a lack of talent around him in terms of skill position players? No. You look at the years Brady had Troy Brown and Jabbar Gaffney, and the years that Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark and Edgerrin James, and you look at their head-to-head record in that era. Tom Brady just owned him. It wasn't even close. Brady won the first 4 or 5 meetings between the two of them, and they were by an average of how many points per game? Brady blew him out. And let's put it this way. If you were to put Peyton Manning in Denver, in New England this year, with this lack of offense and consistency in the skill position, players, you have to say that, and you put Tom Brady in Denver to make it even. Tom Brady would have probably put up 60 touchdowns, if anything, maybe even 65 with the offense that Peyton Manning had. And Peyton Manning would not have finished the season because he'd have been hit so many times. Well, let's not put it that way. Let's be fair. Let's say that Peyton Manning doesn't get hit as many times as I say he would have, and he still would have had to play. His touchdown to interception ratio would not be 25-11 like Brady's was. It'd be 23-16. He's got a lot less talent going for him than he's used to. Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne aren't getting those breaks. Demaryius Thomas isn't getting that extra step. Wes Welker's not using his ability in the slot. He doesn't have those luxuries in New England that Tom Brady would have in Denver. Like I said, you give these two guys the same team and Tom Brady would overwhelm Peyton Manning every single time. He's a better quarterback. He's a better passer. He's a more accurate passer. He's done more with less, and he's succeeded more in his career. So, for my opinion, the winner of the right now bracket would be Tom Brady over Peyton Manning. Alright guys, that does it for the first of my 5 segments tonight. I will also be doing segments on the other brackets coming up. The generation between the baby boomers and millennials bracket, and the generation that Tom Brady will face in the bracket Final Four. That'll be Generation X, so stay tuned.